Motorhead Garage, the program that each week introduces you to and shows you how to install the latest and exciting and innovative products for your vehicle. Now here's your host, Dave Dobson.
Hey there, Motorheads. This is your show, Motorhead Garage, presented by DragonfireTools.com. Now, overlanding has become so popular these days, but you can't just buy a rig like this, Mike, and buy it Friday and go out Saturday overlanding. There's so many things to take into consideration. What do you have to think of when you want to do this?
Storage, weight, where you're going to pack everything, and what's most important to you. Your tent, rooftop tent, food, water, stuff like that. Just make sure that you know where you're going to put everything.
And water being a big part of that. And one of the things you can do now is take jerry cans with you. It's full of water or jugs, and that's about it. And there's no way to get water when you're out on your campsite. So at Mega Mike's, you've come up with a solution for the storage problem and for bringing water with you. How does the Hydro 3 system for Mega Mike's work?
So this unit does everything. It bolts up to the frame of the Gladiator.
It takes the place of your spare tire underneath?
It does. It takes up that space.
And then to bolt it in, you're just using factory mount?
Yes, we're using existing holes in the frame. We provide nut plates and all the hardware for it to bolt up to the frame.
Very good. How does the Hydro 3 system work?
Okay, so with this system, we provide a pump, we have a 0.5 micron filter, a UV light, and a heat exchanger.
Okay, and the heat exchanger, because this actually supplies hot water.
Yes, it does. So the reason why I did the heat exchanger is because your vehicle offers you a lot. It offers you a way to heat the water. You have air conditioning, you have a heater inside the cab. So with this unit, this heat exchanger right here, you can tie it in line with your heater core. It just in line goes straight right through it. And then your cold water side from the tank goes to the other side of the heater core, and that's what heats your water.
And when you talk about hot water, how hot are we talking?
It gets up to 135, 140 degrees.
No kidding.
So you're going to want to mix the cold water side in with that to, get exactly the temperature you want.
Hit the sweet spot.
Yep, hit that sweet spot.
Can I drink this water? I'm sure that's the next thing people are wondering.
You can. With the 0.5 micron filter and the UV light, it is potable water.
And this is, 19 gallons here?
This is 19 gallons.
And are you limited to the 19 gallons you bring out with you when you hit the road?
You are not. So with this system, we provide a suction line. So you can switch the valve over to the suction line, and you can pull out any body of water for as long as you want.
And you can still drink it when you pull it out of a river or a lake.
Yes, it is still filtered. Still filtered through the 0.5 micron filter and the UV light.
Okay, and then that filter there, that's sort of a standard filter, right?
Yes, it is. This is a charcoal filter, 0.5 micron. You could buy these anywhere.
That filter is the first line of defense, and then in order to make the water drinkable, what do you need after that?
We have a UV light. So the filter cleans the water, so the UV light can penetrate it and kills all the germs, all the bacteria in the water.
And what happens when my 19 gallons is empty?
You just refill it with our suction line. Throw it into your lake, river, or stream. You could refill your system through the port right here and turn the valve back over. You're pulling back out of the tank.
What if I'm parked at a campsite and I don't want to drain the water out of this? Can I bypass all of that?
Yes, you can use the suction line and bypass the water that's in the tank.
So a campground or something like that where you already have clean water, it's perfect.
Yep.
Of course, we can see the control unit behind us with the spigots on there for a shower or whatever you need to use it for. Is that the only way to access the water from the Hydro 3?
No, you can tie into the system if you have a kitchen slide, and you have a sink on there. You can tie into this Hydro 3 system and supply water to your kitchen.
The off-road world is a rough place, and this is going to be under your vehicle. How is it protected?
It's protected by this skid plate right here. So when this bolts to your frame and everything, the skid plate bolts right to the unit. And so it protects everything from rocks, debris, stuff like that.
And if something should go wrong in the rare case, what kind of warranty do you carry at Mega Mike's?
We do have a 1-year warranty on everything. Give us a call.
When you are out on the trail, when you're camping, you can save weight, you can save space, fresh water, and oh, by the way, it's a lot more comfortable when you can take a hot shower out there in the wilderness. You can find this all at mega-mikes.com. We shall return with more Motorhead Garage presented by DragonfireTools.com. Whole lot more cool products coming up. Stay tuned.
Motorhead Garage, presented by DragonfireTools.com, is brought to you by RockAuto.com. All the parts your car will ever need. Campbell's CustomCare.com, home of the Dawn Detail Spray. And by PaintedAutoBodyParts.com, the leading U.S. auto body parts online store.
Welcome back to Motorhead Garage, presented by DragonfireTools.com. And we are talking about odors. Now, bad odors are everywhere, and they're especially hard to get rid of if they're in your vehicle. And now, Chris, there are other people claiming to eliminate odors out there, but what's wrong with those products?
What you're going to find is a lot of the other products are using cover scents. They spray in a particular cover spray that grabs the odor. It basically buries it or puts it deep down into the fibers for a short time, but that's a temporary solution. It's not a permanent solution.
So if you start out with a mildew smell, you add some orange scent to it, you've got orange mildew now after a time. So that's no good.
Exactly.
But dead scent kills the scent. And how do you do it?
Well, dead scent is using ClO2 or chlorine dioxide. Chlorine dioxide is a powerful oxidizing chemical compound.
Chlorine dioxide sounds dangerous.
Well, actually, it sounds dangerous.
Yeah.
It does have the word chlorine in the name,
yeah,
but it's not dangerous. That's where it ends being anywhere near like bleach, which has dangerous byproducts. Chlorine dioxide, when it's done doing its thing with eliminating odors, breaks down to something as simple as water and salt.
And how does it actually work? How does it eliminate the odors?
Well, chlorine dioxide is made of 2 oxygen atoms and 1 chlorine atom. And what it does is it oxidizes the odor molecules by breaking off, and it has that selective property that can break off and attack the molecules of the odors, breaking them apart and dissolving them permanently.
Is dead scent something that's going to be used by professionals, or can you do this at home?
Both. This is actually something that is used by professionals. There are some, let's say, professional remediation companies will use chlorine dioxide that can use dead scent. We have auto auctions that will purchase and use it to recondition vehicles before they go to the auction block and back out into the market to get rid of the bad odors. But it's also been designed to be safe for your average consumer to use in the home with no chemical, hand-to-chemical contact.
I think the thing that's significant is the same kit is being used by the pros. You can use that same kit at home as well.
Exactly.
And you've got different vehicles covered here. You got boats and cars and SUVs as well.
Mm-hmm.
Why the different sizes?
We find that there is a need to have a different size, gram size, depending on the size of the area being treated and also on the severity of the odor. Let's face it, for someone who just has a basic musty smell, you might get away with a lower gram treatment pack. Whereas if a vehicle's been sitting for a long time, or say an RV or a boat for a long time, they have a stronger odor, then they're going to up their game to a 50 or even sometimes the 100 gram treatment pack. That allows the consumer to now graduate the treatment based on what the level of odor is in that area.
We talked about odors. There are all kinds. What can dead scent eliminate? What kind of odors?
Well, one of the biggest that we're thinking about is smoke smell. That's huge. We hear that all the time. But also mice or rodents that get into vehicles. Also, it could be just food. People taking their kids back and forth using it, or people driving while they're eating at the same time, things get spilled. Could be pet odors in the vehicle. All these things, again, we talked about mold and musty smells, all these odors build up over time within a vehicle or within an RV or a boat. So if you name the odor, chlorine dioxide can go after and will eliminate it.
Dead scent comes in a kit.
Yes.
How does the kit actually work once you get it?
Well, once they open up the treatment, the plastic containment system here, that's the treatment pack. That is going to be laid flat inside the treatment area that they're going to add water to the line, and then they would open the foil pouch where the treatment pack is located. Take that out, you're going to see a yellow side and a blue side. The blue side is then placed into the water. At that point in time, the water is absorbed, it comes through the treatment kit, it will swell, and then it begins to react and off gas, and ClO2 will then be released into the area.
I know you said it's safe, but how long do I need to wait before I actually get back into the vehicle after we give it a treatment?
We recommend a minimum of 6 hours for a treatment. If you can go longer, that's even better. If it's out in the direct sunlight, then we would recommend you wait until it's out of direct sunlight or in a garage, somewhere where the sun isn't beating in, because sun will react with ClO2. You want to let it run then again, minimum 6 hours. We recommend, if you have the opportunity, again, overnight is even better. And then once it's done, you've got to give yourself at least an hour to let things air out and let all that gas out of the vehicle.
By the way, there's also a kit for hunters, so it'll take the scent out of your clothing. The deer won't even know you're out there. You can find that and all these products from Dead Scent at deadscent.com. And you can find more of Motorhead Garage presented by DragonfireTools.com just around the corner.
Motorhead Garage, presented by DragonfireTools.com, coming to you from the Campbell's Custom Care Studio.
Thanks for tuning in to Motorhead Garage, presented by DragonfireTools.com. Now, with vehicles, any vehicle, the rubber seals are the first thing to go. We all know that, Danny. They degrade over the years. Why do they go so fast?
Well, rubber tends to biodegrade, and especially the seals that were used on these cars originally, it was actually a latex seal. A lot of people don't know latex is a natural material, and it biodegrades quick.
So replacing your rubber seals can be tricky, especially on a street rod like this. How can steel rubber make it more simple?
Yeah, you know, replacing them can be tricky because you're trying to find the right fit. It's very specific sometimes. So if you're working on a car, what we have done is made custom on-demand catalogs. So if you've got a 33 Ford, we can send you a catalog for a 33 Ford with the bits and pieces that we offer for it.
Yes, it's a 33 Ford, but it is a hand-built hot rod.
Exactly. So this is a fiberglass car. The chassis is not steel. It's not from 1933. The OEM parts won't fit it exactly like it would on a original 1933. So you're going to have to find seals that work for this car.
Before we get into the specific seals on this, how do I find out what seals I'm going to need or what I'm going to use once I start to look at the car? Because you guys have, what, 15,000 different parts in your catalog?
Yeah, we have a lot, but we make it real easy for each person because we narrow it down for what they're looking for. Just like this, we would probably point you towards our street rod catalog, which has everything for the engine compartment, the glass, your doors, your trunk, all in sections, so you can go through the vehicle and find out exactly what you need.
And then once I have a general idea, what's my next step?
You know you're going to work on the radiator and the cowl and your door glass. Then you can get that catalog. You can figure out what size of seal you need. That's a little bit of a tricky part, but we've got some tips that can help you figure that out. And then we can even send you samples so you can test fit.
And sample packs cost nothing, right?
Yeah, free sample packs. You know, you just tell us what you're working on as far as like, I want to put a hood decal on. We'll send you a sample pack for that. Well, I want that and the doors. We'll send you both.
So let's look at this vehicle in particular and maybe some of the common areas where seals start to go bad and where seals are used. A lot of folks think about the windows, but they don't think about the rest of the car.
Yeah, so like I mentioned, you know, from the radiator and the cowl, you've got a seal. You know, originally those keep fumes out of the cowl vent. The cowl vent's not in this vehicle like it was originally. Even stuff like the headlights, the mounting pads for those, the side mirrors. Since this is a convertible, you've got a header bow, which goes across the top of your windshield. You've got the windshield gasket, your belt line or window felts, the fuzzies, your door seal. So there's a lot of rubber, and then you know, your trunk, your bumpers, all those things are in that catalog and are parts that you're going to need to make it weatherproof.
So it's easy enough to find a seal that you have there, maybe cut a sample off of it or something and compare it to the sample kit or something in the catalog. But what about like the trunk of this now? There's no seal back here, and just by eyeballing it, you can't tell exactly what you need. So if we want to add one, how can I tell what I need there? I can't tell just by eyeballing it.
Yeah, so this piece has a flange that goes down in here. So one thing that we suggest is taking a piece of putty, sticking it down in the channel, closing the trunk or door, and then that will give you a mold of what that gap size is. You can then take that, get a measurement off of it, and you can see where that channel hits, and then you can take your measurement. Maybe you go a 1/16 inch over, but that'll be what gap size you're trying to fill.
Well, that's one place we want to seal where we didn't have one. And you noticed a couple of things here when you were looking at the car over here. And of course, anybody can see that one on the A-pillar there.
This was a custom kind of cut piece that ended up working, but now 18 years later, it's starting to fall apart. And visually, this catches the eye really easy. So that's definitely going to be something that we want to replace. And it's very easy to do so with some of the peel and stick.
And then inside the door, there's another seal that you noticed is going bad, and this one's easy to see as well.
Yeah, so again, another seal that was just something that would work. That uses a cheaper pressure-sensitive tape, and we use a 3M tape, so it's a lot more substantial than what that is, and it's not going to degrade like that does.
Gotcha. Well, we're going to be working on that next time we see Danny in Steel Rubber here on Motorhead Garage, presented by DragonfireTools.com. When I say engine additives, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking snake oil, but that is not the case, Joel, when it comes to RVS Technology. You guys have been around for 20 plus years. How do you stay relevant after all that time?
That's a good question. I think the number one answer is that we're unique in the marketplace, and we are not an oil additive. We're an engine additive, transmission additive, and power steering additive. We do not change the properties of the oil.
So what happens? How does RVS Technology work?
We like to call RVS to cure for metal friction surfaces. So our product works in metal-to-metal friction surfaces where heat is created, and it adheres to those surfaces, creating a mirror-like surface that's harder than metal. It reduces friction, bringing the added side benefits of increased power, reduces fuel economy, reduces emissions, and it gives your engine much longer lasting life.
How does it add life to the engine?
Well, the coating is so hard that once you apply our treatments into the engine or mechanism being treated, you'll start to see that it really doesn't wear down. And you'll see that by the oil not getting as dirty. There'll be less contaminants in the engine. So we see up to 50% longer engine life out of components treated with our products.
Amazing. And in this day and age, folks are worried also about fuel mileage. So
exactly.
How do you improve fuel mileage with RVS?
It's twofold. If we have a vehicle that has more mileage or more wear on it, then our product, which differentiates from everything else in the marketplace, is that it can actually restore new material into the engine and components. So if we have a worn engine that has, let's say, 100,000 miles, 120,000 miles, it can actually build new material. We'll get increased compression, less blow-by, and then also the added benefit of the coating being so friction resistant, you get that benefit as well. It all adds up together where you use a lot less fuel, you lower your oil temperatures, you get more horsepower out of the engine, and better efficiency as a whole, less vibration, and that all adds up to all of the benefits that you can imagine. Our transmission treatment is extraordinary. It works in all transmission types. Your continuously variable transmission, CVTs, your double clutches, your regular automatic torque converter transmissions, and also manual transmissions.
I know the question everyone's dying to ask, how often do you need to put it in your vehicle?
That's the biggest benefit of RVS. Once you do treatments, depending on your application, it lasts up to 60,000 miles. So a very long time. You only do it once and you're done.
It's been used for 20 years all over the world in race cars and cars on the road as well. It's going to be great for your vehicle. Find it at rvs-usa.com. We still got a lot more in this episode coming up, so please stay tuned.
Motorhead Garage, presented by Dragonfiretools.com. Industrial workbenches with integrated tool storage. And brought to you by Amsoil, the first in synthetics. Dynabraid, the first choice for abrasive power tools today and tomorrow. Custom Auto Sound, the originator of classic car OEM fit radios since 1977. And by Colby Valve, the only valve stem you install from the outside.
One engine and two wheels and a ton of fun. Pop the clutch and you're off. Welcome to this Amsoil Tech Tip. Now, I said pop the clutch and you're off. That's a perfect scenario. Why? Because we're talking about the wet clutch system. You can see it right here. It's actually like an automotive clutch. What you have is you got some steels and some fibers in between here and a big spring that's holding pressure on it. Goes inside of this basket. So when you push in the clutch, you're actually going to push in on these springs, and then what that's going to do is free them up. And when it frees it up, you're not transferring any energy to the rear wheel. You let go of the clutch, bam, they squeeze together. In the perfect scenario, you're off and running. But with that comes some issues. Now, the clutches themselves. Inside the clutches, you have these plates and you have these steel things right here, these fibers. And what happens is it starts to wear out over time like this. And fluid plays an important role, but Len, even more important, fluid plays a role in driver feel with that clutch. This is huge.
It is a big deal, and we've spent a ton of time testing on this. The rider input is big on a dirt bike. You really need to have the lever feel to be consistent, meaning I want the lever to be somewhat progressive, but not super grabby so the bike takes off from underneath you. So the way you can influence that, there's a couple different ways. Viscosity will play into that. The thicker the oil, the more progressive the clutch feels. The thinner the oil, the more grabby the clutch will get. It's frictional characteristics that are kind of depicted in this chart. This is a real complicated way of putting numbers to lever feel. And what they do is they classify it in different ways. So there's a JSOL MA, MA1, MA2, and then MB being the slipperiest. Our dirt bike oil is an MA1. That's a perfect blend of additive and base oil to provide the rider with a consistent lever feel.
So what you're saying, if it's really thin, I may be able to slip the clutch a little bit. If it's thick, perhaps I could stall it.
That's correct.
That's cool. Now that also has to do a big job. We're talking about the transmission, we're talking about all the engine components and the wet clutch in one system. So make sure you go to their website at amsoil.com. Check out these products and so many more.
If you or someone you know should be our paintedautoparts.com Motorhead of the Week, just drop us a note. We're at motorheadgarage.tv, and that is what California's Bob Osmond did, and he is a speed freak if ever there was one. Now, Bob's dad raced sprint cars all over the country, and as you can see, Bob was hooked from the start. Just like every other kid in Southern California in the late 70s, Osmond was an avid skateboarder. And when skateboarders started laying on their boards and racing down Signal Hill in LA County, street luge was born, and Bob was there. He got his speed fix dabbling in street luge and later in street stock cars around 1977. Then in the 80s, it was lay down enduro go-karts at over 100 miles an hour. Bob the Wizard Osmond finished 8th in the World Karting Association standings. And get this, Bob got back into street luge, and he was a competitor in ESPN's X Games right from the start in the mid-90s. A bad luge accident ended his luge career, but he still craved speed and competition. And as he put it, old age means roll cage. And he got back into stock cars. And they say go big or go home, and let me tell you, Bob has gone big. He's won 3 Enduro Sport Track Championships at Irwindale, and he's been the NASCAR Western Region champ the past 2 years. And that, folks, is why they call him the Wizard. And that is why we call him the paintedautoparts.com Motorhead of the Week. Thank you for riding along with us today. We'll see you next time here on Motorhead Garage, presented by Dragonfire Tools.com. So long.